Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. O chief amongst the Brahmanas, please also describe how Narayan, the creator of the universe and the self-sufficient Lord, has differently created the natures, activities, forms, features, and names of the different living creatures. Please repeat. O chief amongst the Brahmanas, please also describe how Narayan, the creator of the universe and self-sufficient Lord, has differently created the natures, activities, forms, features, and names of the different living creatures. Purport. Every living being is under the plan of his natural inclinations in the terms of the modes of material nature. His work is manifested in terms of the nature of the three modes. His form and bodily features are designed according to his work, and his name is designated according to his bodily features. For example, the higher classes of men are white, sukala, and the lower classes of men are black. This division of white and black is in terms of one's white and black duties of life. Pious acts lead one to take birth in a good and highly placed family, to become rich, to become learned, and to acquire beautiful bodily features. Impious acts lead one to become poor by parentage, to be always in want, to become a fool or illiterate, and to acquire ugly bodily features. Vidura requested Maitreya to explain these differences between all the living creatures made by Narayan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Om Jnana Timirandasya Granjana Shlakaya Chakshusum Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupagatam Ayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Namo Vishnu Bidaya Krishna Bistaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nivashesha Sunyavadi Pastachade Satarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrihinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Panchakalpa Trubhischa Kripa Sindhu Bhyavacha Patitana Pavenibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Bistaya Bhutale Shrimati Shivaram Swami Iti Namine. Hare Krishna. So, we're continuing now with the conversation between Vidura and Maitreya Rishi. In the previous verse, a similar question was asked. Vidura asked a question about how is it that, can you explain how Lord Narayan creates the different planets in the universe so the different living creatures can inhabit those planets? So we can see that everyone has a different nature according to our previous karma. We take birth in a different body. And Krishna, he's so kind, he's giving facility for all the living entities to fulfill their desires in this material world. Bhaktaram Yagyatapasam Salvaloka. Krishna, he's Salvaloka Maheshwaram. He's the ruler of all the planets and the demigods. With that, we have to understand. Because we may be questioning why is it that Vidura is asking these questions about, all the different living entities. We want to hear some Krishna Katha. Is this necessary? Do we really need to know this? Yeah. But the reason why he's asking these questions is so that living entities, the conditioned soul, can come to the understanding who Krishna is and how infinitesimal we are, right? So, Sarva Loka Maheshwaram, Krishna, he is the controller and proprietor of all the planets in the entire universe. And he's also Suridam Sarva Bhutanam. He's the benefactor of all living entities. And because he's the benefactor of all living entities, he's giving everyone the opportunity to fulfill their purpose in this mature world and go back home, back to Godhead. Because that is the main purpose. So souls like Vidura, they ask these questions so that the conditioned souls can come to an understanding who they need to worship, who they need to give homage to. So, and in this verse, it's described what consciousness or mentality the different living entities have within a particular planet. What consciousness they are given. You take in your previous life, you carry out certain activities, and those activities, they imbibe a certain it's called samskar, or what's the English translation of samskar? Impression, that's it, yeah. They put in a certain impression within the mind of the living entity. And that impression, it takes us to our next destination, our next body. So therefore, we need to create impressions or some scars which are positive to us, which are going to elevate us or not degrade us to a lower planet or a lower situation. Krishna says in the 14th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, he explains that where the different modes of nature will take you. He said those who are in the mode of goodness, they will take birth in the higher planets among the demigods. And those who are in the mode of passion, they take birth among those who are engaged in fruitive activity, which is mainly within this earthly realm. And those in the mode of ignorance, they take birth in the animal kingdom. Yeah. So we have to be very careful. There are 8,400,000 species of life within the entire universe. Although the scientists have said, they now say there are 8,700,000 species of life just on this planet. Because for them, there's nothing else in the universe, just this planet. So they're not far off, but Bhagavatam speaks about the whole universe. So whatever it says, it's the whole universe, and not just this planet. And we can see there are so many, according to Bhagavatam, there are so many billions and billions of planets within this universe. And each planet is inhabited by different living creatures. Just like the sun planet, fire, has living entities living in it. Although the scientists will not agree, but we agree with whatever the Bhagavatam says. We take that as the truth. Just like our body is made with earth, water, fire, and ether. Most of our body is, they say that 70% of our body is water. And we're living in a watery planet. Most of the surface of the earth is covered in water. So similarly, there are living entities living on the sun with a fiery body. And therefore they are able to live in that particular body. So the question is, how did the scientists go to the moon? According to Srila Prabhupada, they didn't. They didn't go to the moon. It's impossible. Because the moon is a higher planet. And you can only get to higher planets if you've done the punya, the pious activities. And sinful people cannot go there. They have to remain in the lower planets or the middle planets. So this is all done, the whole plan and situation is done in a very, very systematic and perfect way, actually. And you can see, even in this planet, there are different living entities. There are different human beings act differently. Prabhupada said something very interesting in the purport. Did anyone Can anybody remember? Could be quite controversial. Yeah. Yeah. Prabhupada mentions in the purport that he says, I'll read it again. He says, for example, the higher classes of men are white and the lower classes of men are black. So according to this modern day world we live in, especially the woke world, this statement could be it is quite controversial. It could be considered racist. Yeah. Is Bhagavatam racist? No. Bhagavatam's not racist. So how can we understand this? That's the question. First of all, this is not what Prabhupada says here. This is not an absolute statement. An absolute statement is Jivera Sarupa Hoya Krishnera Nityadas. Every living entity is an eternal servant of Krishna. And that statement cannot be changed. It cannot have different facets to it, or cannot be taken in different angles. It's what it is. But this statement, what Prabhupada's made, it can change. In other words, white people can be have ugly bodily features. White people can be uneducated and poverty-stricken, and black people can have beautiful bodily features. They can be very educated, and they can be very wealthy. So how can we understand this? But Prabhupada, immediately after that, Prabhupada says, the division of white and black is in terms of one's white and black duties of life. So we can look at this in the realm of Varnashram. And so if you look at it in the constraints of Varnashram, then it kind of makes sense what Prabhupada is saying here. And it doesn't seem racist in the sense that people, they take birth in a certain country, they have a certain mentality, and according to that mentality, they work in a certain way. That's Varnashram, right? Just like the Prabhupada says, those who are empires generally have black bodies. So especially in India, not so much in this country because most people are white, but they're meant to be white anyway. But we can see it's kind of changing. But in India, people, they work in the fields, and it's their duty, it's their job, it's their work. They have a certain mentality. Therefore, they get the sun, and they're black. The sun makes them black. Whereas the lighter skinned people, they don't go out in the sun so much. They may be sitting at home in the office or somewhere, sitting in office. And so in that sense, we can say this applies, and it doesn't sound racist. But in any way, it's not an absolute statement. So we can see, according to a person's work and mentality, they have a certain body to match that work, right? Just like a Kshatriya. If you see a real Kshatriya, you'll know that this person's a Kshatriya, right? Because they have a certain bodily feature. Kshatriyas are usually they usually have quite beautiful bodily features. They're very strong that way. And Brahmins generally don't have beautiful bodily features. They don't need to. They have a beautiful brain because that's their duty to study. Whereas Kshatriyas, they're rulers. They have to be charismatic. And they have to fight like this. And the Sudras, they just serve the other sections of society. It's not so important whether they're strong or not so strong or weak. But we can see that in Kali Yuga, everything is mixed and topsy-turvy. It's all confusing, isn't it? We can see very confusing in Kali Yuga. Just like, I remember when I was young, we used to play, my brother and I, we used to play in the streets. In those days, we played outside. Here, the children now, they don't play. They stay at home in their computers, playing games. We used to play out in the streets. And you'd sometimes get into trouble, and the police will come. And we were when you see the police, you will become very scared, because these guys were big. In those days, if you wanted to join the police force, you had to have a minimum height requirement. There was, I think it was 5'11", close to 6 foot anyway. They were quite big, and and also in those days they were racist as well at the same time. So they were extra scary. Big racist police. But now these days you can see it's not like that. You'll be on Sankirtan and you'll see a policewoman coming towards you, and she'll be like 3 foot high and a bit chubby, and you think, what's going on? She asks her, "You meant to be here?" And in your mind you think, "But what are you going to do about it?" So you can see that what is this person going to do? First of all, they're not real Kshatriyas. They're not working according to their nature. Prabhupada says inclination. Prabhupada mentions that in the purple. We all work according to our inclination. We have a certain consciousness, certain mentality, like that. But you can see in Kali Yuga, it's not like that. Everything's so mixed, and therefore it's so difficult to figure out who you're dealing with, right? Whereas Krishna has done everything perfect, yeah, and perfect. So you take birth in a certain family, you have a certain mentality, you're either educated or you're not educated. You have beautiful body features or you have not ugly body features. All this. Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra, it can come in the realm of Varnashram. But these are all upadhis. Anybody know the name? What does upadhi mean? Anybody? Yeah, it means designations, yeah. So these upadhis are given to us, and they're all designations. But ultimately, we're meant to give them up. We're meant to come to the consciousness of understanding that, I'm nothing. I'm none of these. I'm not a man, a woman. We're in Kali Yuga now. People are not even happy with their birth, right? You take birth as a man, and down the line they look in the mirror one day and they think, "Oh, hang about, what's going on here? I'm really not a man anymore. I think I'm a woman." And then they go through this whole situation where they start acting like women, and the women sometimes think, "I'm not a woman, maybe I'm a man." I was watching something recently that in Germany there were they have this conference once a year where about 200-300 people, they all get together and they all think they're dogs. Seriously. Yeah, they all get together. They're on their all fours, and they're barking. Woof, woof. Can you imagine 300 people barking? Woof, woof, woof. And their partner has them on a leash. And seriously, this kind of thing is going on. They have them on a leash, and they eat in a bowl. That's how they eat. They drink. They're drinking water like that. Yeah. And but this is going on. People in Kali Yuga, as Kali Yuga progresses, they're becoming so confused. They don't even know who they are, whether I'm a human being or an animal. And the worst thing about it is, so the worst thing about it is that the governments are allowing this to happen, and they're teaching in schools that this is perfectly fine. You can be what you want, right? This is what they're teaching our children. And this is what Prabhupada said. Prabhupada said that the modern day education is like slaughterhouse. And quite often we would read that and we think, what is Prabhupada saying here? Isn't he Prabhupada being a bit fanatical? But now we can see what Prabhupada said is all coming to fruition. And we can see that actually is demoniac. They're teaching in schools these days. Although maybe I shouldn't say that. Not allowed to say that. But I'm going to say it because we have to speak the truth. Modern day education is demoniac, basically. They're teaching children, if you're a boy, you want to become a girl, then it's perfectly fine. In this country, it's not so bad. In America, they don't need, the law is they don't even have to tell the parents. They can take the children to, there's certain states in America, they can take the children straight to hospital, have the operation, and the parents have no say in this. This is happening in America. So Kali Yuga has become a very, very confused place. Therefore, we need to go to Srimad Bhagavatam to really know who we are, what we are. So ultimately, Srimad Bhagavatam is explaining that these destinations that we're relating to, I am a woman, I am a man, I am black, white, I have beautiful bodily features, I am ugly, I'm uneducated. These are not important, actually, according to our spiritual consciousness, because the soul is none of these. I'm sure you already know this. Salvo padi vinirmuktam tat paritvena nimalam rishikena rishikesa sevanam bhakti uchite. So we need to engage, those who engage the senses in the service of Rishikesha, master of the senses, Krishna, then two things happen. The first thing is Sarva Upadi, all your upadis, or your designations, they all become, they're gone. They're no longer there. And the second thing is that one's senses become purified. So this is the nature of Krishna consciousness. This is the potency of Krishna consciousness. So you can see in this modern day world, people are really focusing on these upadis or designations. I am this, I am that. And someone looking at a purple, someone may get offended and think, well, no, that's racist. No. But that's all temporary, according to Bhagavatam. The Bhagavatam is actually teaching us that these things are not important. That's all. So we can see in the life of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his devotees. See, a lot of Lord Chaitanya's devotees, they're all Nitya Siddhas, and they took birth not in highly educated families, and they didn't have all bodily features, beautiful bodily features. Actually, some of them took birth in not so nice families, in Mohammedan families, just like Haridas Thakur. Right? Haridas Thakur is the Namacharya, and he was a Mohammedan by birth. Once there's that pastime where Lord Chaitanya was embracing and glorifying all the devotees. When he got to, he realized that Haridas Thakur wasn't there, and he said, "Where is Haridas?" And they said, "Haridas." They could see Haridas outside on the road, paying dandavats. And Lord Chaitanya says, "Go and get Haridas. Tell him to come here." And so when they went to tell Haridas that Lord Chaitanya wants to see you, he said, "I don't want to go near," because at that time they must have been near the temple somewhere. Although in the book it says, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, it said they were at Lord Chaitanya's house. Where did that happen, that pastime, Prabhu? Do you know? But Haridas Thakur, he said, "I don't want to go anywhere near the temple because I'm so fallen." Huh? Siddhabako. Yeah, that's where the pastime happened, yeah. Because in the CC it says Lord Chaitanya took them to his house. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So Haridas Thakur, he said, if I come near the temple, then the brahmanas at the temple, they will touch me and become contaminated. So we can see a Vaishnava is, because he's not on that bodily platform relating to those upadhis or designations. They're very humble, and they have transcended. They have transcended all these material conceptions or misconceptions. When Sukadeva Goswami was walking, he was naked, he had nothing on, and all these uneducated general people were following him. They didn't know who he was. They thought he was a madman, because why is he walking around naked? Generally, if you see someone walking naked, they're going to be a bit crazy. Yeah. When you go at book distribution, you learn these things actually. You never stop someone in the middle of winter who's wearing sandals and no socks. Or someone in the middle of summer who's wearing a really heavy coat. You don't stop them. But anyway, they were thinking that Sukadeva Goswami, he's dumb, and what is he? Why is he walking around like this? And they were making fun of him. But as soon as Sukadeva Goswami arrived in the assembly of the sages, they saw him and they stood up immediately. Because they had the vision, they could see that this person is not an ordinary person. He's a great soul. So they all stood up. There's a science, right? But just by looking at someone, especially their face, you can know quite a lot about them. What's the name of that science? Physiognomy. Is that it? Yeah, that's it. That's the name of the science. You can go places and, they look at your face, your eyes, your nose, your lips, and everything about you. They can tell your mentality, your consciousness. Can they tell where your previous life activities? But anyway, so the sages, they had this science. They knew just by looking at Sukadeva Goswami. So the point is, we should be satisfied with what situation we have. Srila Prabhupada says in Srimad Bhagavatam, 8th canto, chapter 19, 24. I'll read it out. Actually, there's a verse. This is the verse. One should be satisfied with whatever he has achieved by his previous destination. For discontent can never bring happiness. A person who is not self-controlled will not be happy, even with possessing the three worlds. Yeah. So Bhagavatam is teaching us that whatever designation we have had, whatever situation we're taking birth in, don't focus on that. It's not important. What you need to focus on is how to get out of that situation. Because whether you're rich, educated, beautiful, poor, ugly, uneducated, we're all going to die one day. Does it really matter? But what matters is, what is that consciousness? What qualities do we possess? Do we possess godly qualities or ungodly qualities? We can see people in America, these Hollywood stars. Yeah, people are so much looking up to them like they're demigods, But when you actually analyze those people, they have no good qualities, right? In Kali Yuga, if you have a nice house, big house, a mansion, if you drive a nice car and you have a gold Rolex, you're very, very, this person must be so highly worshipped and admired by the general people, right? But whereas someone who just lives in a simple hut, rides a bicycle, then you look at it and think, well, who is this? Not important person. But that person may have godly qualities, whereas the rich person is like a dog, behaving like a dog. Yeah. Therefore, it's not important. This is what Bhagavatam is teaching us, that we have to focus on becoming godly, Vaishnav. Therefore, this life is meant for focusing on higher things. What's that verse in Bhagavad Gita? Yam yam vapi smaram bhavam tyajati ante kevalam tam tam aveti kuntiya sada tat bhava bhavitaha. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, what's the reference to that verse? Yeah, Bhagavad Gita 8:6. I can never remember references. Kali Yuga mind. Bhagavad Gita 8:6. Krishna says to Arjuna, he says, whatever state of remembrance one is at the time of quitting the body, that, O son of Kunti, that state you will attain without a doubt. Right? So if you're thinking of your dog, then you become a dog. Just like Bharat Maharaj, right? He was thinking of this, he became attached to his deer. And he was very advanced. He was at the point of bhava. But still, he became attached to this deer. So in his next life, he had to take birth as a deer. So we have to be very careful. So Krishna consciousness is teaching us to give up these upadhis, these designations. I am eternal servant of Krishna. That is our natural. Prabhupada talks about inclination. Our natural inclination is to serve Krishna in the 5 different rasas of devotional service. That is our natural inclination. Just like the eternal devotees in Vrindavan, in Braj. When Krishna goes to the forest with his coward boyfriends, the parents of the boys, they cook very nice packed lunch for the boys, because they always have a picnic when they're out there. Yeah, but Krishna's packed lunch is the best because he's the son of Nanda Maharaj. Mother Yashoda, she's the best cook in Vrindavan. So the boys, they plan to steal Krishna's packed lunch. Not because they're lusting, not because they're thinking, I want to fill my belly. But because they want to serve Krishna. That's all. And then when Krishna realizes he's got no packed lunch, they say, oh, Krishna, look, you can have my packed lunch. My mother cooked it. Everyone's mother's the best cook, right? Right? Everyone's mother's the best cook. So my mother cooked this and it's the best. I'm giving you the best, Krishna. Here, look. Take this. But so then Krishna takes it, and then because Krishna's unlimited, he can create so much prasadam, so they all eat. But the point is, their desire, whatever they do, is to please Krishna, even if it's stealing Krishna's. We can't do that, by the way. Could you imagine the pujari going to the kitchen, stealing the offering before it's been offered? You can steal it after it's been offered. Prabhupada said that. You can steal maha. That's authorized. That's why you have these zips on the bead bags, It's actually for when you steal the maha, you can put it in your pocket. The bigger the bead bag, the more you can steal. Eh? So here they're following their natural desires and to serve Krishna in this way. But of course, we serve Krishna in a very awe and reverence way, and until we come to that platform. So this is Krishna consciousness. To purify one's mind and consciousness, and come to the understanding that I'm an eternal servant of Krishna. And all these other things don't really matter anymore. Okay, it's 8:30. Should we stop here? And we can have questions. If anyone got any questions? Projan.
I was listening to a conversation between Prabhupada and his an airline pilot. He was telling his disciples, this airline pilot's very, very inquisitive, intelligent. And he asked, but surely there's, are they all good? And he said, he answered him, he says, no, it's like the sun and the moon. There's also a dark side to our nature. And that if we face Krishna, it's like facing the sun. But the other side is that if we're not careful, it's a dark side. It can take us. So if we look at Krishna, then we face him. Like the birds in the tree, isn't it, as well, the parrots. They're pecking at the fruits. Some are busy taking the fruit of the tree, while the others are looking at. I can't remember how it goes there, but so inside of us we have to understand there is a dark side of our natures, like these people that are fanatic about their religion. They've got a dark side. They'll even kill themselves to kill other people so that they can go to the heavenly planets and enjoy. Heaven to them is the ultimate goal, and the enjoyment that they'll achieve there. But like the Assis, there's others that are so dark in their nature. They were just shooting innocent people and laughing. They posed themselves as Muslims, but actually they were just animals, beyond help, envious, mischievous. They want the oil fields. They'll do anything. It doesn't matter because it suits their political purpose.
Hare Krishna. Yeah.
So it's sort of like that. We've got a dark nature. We have to be careful all the time. How that we too, I always pray, don't tempt me. I know my weaknesses, but don't send a temptation that way, because that's my weakest point. So I sort of have to be careful of my own darkness side nature, which I've had in my previous life this time. And I look back and I feel ashamed. I feel so ashamed. But I felt Prabhupada. He
Thank
told
you.
me.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Prabhupada Prabhu.
Enough of that.
Do you have a question there?
Hare Krishna. So just on your point about how we're living in such a degraded society now, where kind of men want to become women, when women want to become men, and there's also people taking up occupations that are not suited to them. On book distribution, we're meeting all people of all walks of life, and they have all these different designations and upadhis that you're talking about. So how is it that we can be inclusive towards them and welcome them into Krishna consciousness, but at the same time stay firm and true to our values? Because I've experienced that when I meet these kind of people, I just tend to avoid the discussion, but I don't think that's the right way.
Yeah, that's true. It's difficult having a discussion with a vegan when you got to somehow explain to them that God takes care of cows, and his father has millions, 900,000 cows, and they milk the cows and have so many milk products that come from these cows, right? I always used to try to avoid, when I was on Sankirtan, I would always try to avoid discussions with people like that. It's not so important. The thing is not to get into these discussions. You just need to present Krishna consciousness to everyone in a pure way. And when they take up Krishna consciousness, naturally all these things will dissipate. It's not something you can artificially try to force someone to do, to accept. Oh, no, you have to accept this, right? Sometimes when we're on Sankirtan, it can be a bit of a sense gratification, a sense grat, to be on the street and just trying to convince people, I'm going to defeat this person, I'm going to smash him, right? And sometimes on YouTube you see videos of devotees on Sankirtan, like how this person defeated this Christian or defeated this person or defeated. That's not what we're there for. We're not there to defeat people or even convince people. Well, that's what Prabhupada's books are for, right? That's the beauty of book distribution. We're not the ones. We're not the ones doing the preaching. It's Prabhupada. As soon as they open the book, they're associating with Prabhupada. And because they're associating with Prabhupada, he's a pure devotee. Just by hearing a few words, they'll become purified. And especially if they take up Krishna consciousness, and even if they bring these upadhis with them, but the whole point is that serving Krishna within an atmosphere in association of devotees will very quickly get rid of these false designations and ideas people have in their minds about things. But we don't need to worry. We just need to present Krishna consciousness in a pure way, the way Prabhupada wants us to. That's why not try to dilute anything or take anything away or add anything. If we present it in a pure way, then people will naturally become purified. And if they don't, then sayonara, doesn't matter. We just carry on. Like that. Hare Krishna. Anyone else? Andrew?
Thank you for the class review. I was wondering, I think you kind of just answered it in the last, like what you just said last about how we should just present Krishna consciousness, and there's a tendency to really want to try and wake people up, especially those that are closest to us, like our family members. So is that to say that we should just let them get on with let them just like be in their maya and just, because there's a tendency to just like, what are you doing,
Yeah, sure.
Like,
yeah. The thing is, especially when it comes to those who are closest to you, your parents and friends and etc., that's the hardest thing to deal with as a devotee. I mean, it wasn't a problem for me because all my family are devotees, so I didn't have that problem.